Bit of a disclaimer. This is the unfinished follow-up to my Toontown the Animated Series retrospective from a few years ago. I chipped away at this project over the course of 2 years roughly before dropping it entirely. I've grown somewhat unhappy with the state of the project as it turned way more into a plot recap than an actual analysis of the content within the show. And because of that, I don't really have any plans to continue the project from here. Regardless, I figured I may as well release this rough draft for those of you who may want to see what I had cooked up. And just as a heads up, there is a good chunk of work in progress and placeholder assets present in the video. Either way, hope you enjoy. In case you missed it, this video is actually a follow-up to my first video about Toontown the Animated Series. If you want to check that out, you can click the link in the top right or in the description. Just as a quick recap, oh my god, what is that? Kill it! Yeah, that's right, I got rant avatars now! They were made by my good friend Eli, who you should totally follow on Blue Sky. And if you don't, then I'll commission another one where he's crossing his arms. And you wouldn't let... Oh. Never mind. But why don't we hop right back into our review of Toontown the Animated Series. Here's a quick recap. Okay. So the Cogs are invading Toontown. We're following the three main characters, John, Dee Dee, and... Hey everyone! John is some sort of eldritch abomination called the Chosen Elite. He has a brother named Alphanor who sacrifices himself for John and the others. Sometimes he's the Grim Reaper and British. I swear it makes sense. Smirky is a normal toon, but has the ability to summon a ridiculously powerful sword called the Blade of Poseidon. Dee Dee is there. There's a guy called Dr. Tori who's kind of important. He keeps getting kidnapped by the Cogs. Little Oldman is like dying in the hospital or something. And we finished off last time with the end of Season 2, where a massive fight between the Toons and Cogs broke out. And that's about the gist of it. Let's hop into Episode 11. John is understandably grief and rage-stricken after losing his brother to the Cogs, as he turns back into his true form and likely runs off again. We then join Dee Dee and Smirky the next day, meeting with Flippy. There's actually a pretty big lore reveal here, as it turns out that the Cogs were actually an experiment done by the Toon Council, including the previous mayor who left Flippy to deal with all of his dirty work. I knew there was something shady about that guy. Turns out the first Cog ever was called the Alpha Cog, and I'm not gonna lie, its silhouette looks a lot like the Cog from the 2003 installation video. We then check on little Oldman in the hospital, who has a new voice now.
You must be careful, Smirky. The Cogs possess very dark energy. Any more whip from the blade, and you could have lost it forever.
Oldman tells him that he's been assigned a new partner since John just up and left again, so he goes off to find him. Meanwhile, Flippy is perfectly fantastic as he deals with a phone call from some unknown authority.
Let me give you a warning, Flippy. If this sort of thing happens again, I'll be forced to put Toontown under quarantine. Deal with the Cogs and do it properly.
So things aren't looking too great for Flippy. Smirky, on the other hand, is meeting up with his new partner.
They sent me a cat. How amusing.
Oh yeah, Smirky, because Cog forbid you have to interact with someone who isn't a dog. Toontown includes a pretty good variety of species, and yet the main cast here is pretty much all dogs. Why don't we get some variety going? There we go, that's a good cast. Anyway, this is Frequency, who I'm sure will become a very valuable member of our team. Smirky goes and talks to Flippy, who informs him that Captain Scar, aka Bootcamp Man, was removed from his position. They're interrupted by someone who informs them that Cogs were spotted transferring captured Toons into a prison.
So not all is lost. I'm gonna go investigate.
Smirky? No. It's suicide.
I don't care! I don't take orders from you, remember that. I'm gonna find those Toons and save them. That is what a true, honorable Toon does.
Don't push it, Smirky.
Or what? You gonna banish me? Let's see how happy Old Man is to hear you do that to me.
Arrest him!
So yeah, Flippy tries to have Smirky arrested, to which he just kind of books it. They meet up with Dee Dee and her new friend Myra as they plot to enter the facility via the underground pipes. We take a quick interlude looking at what Cog bosses do. Is that a corpse? Yeah, no, that is just straight up a corpse. Reminder that Mystical James, in the first episode, saw this as a TVY7 show, so I don't know why we have corpses in here. But anyways, the episode ends with the Toons sneaking their way through the pipes and finding a Cerberus? I'm so lost. Now, contrary to what you might think, my opinion on this episode is actually pretty positive. It's about 11 minutes long, which is shorter than a lot of other episodes, and it feels like it gets a lot more done in that time. Plus, it didn't feel like it was just teasing a bunch of vague information that might come back later. So, minus the corpse, that was a pretty good episode, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Speaking of, let's move on to episode 12. So, as luck would have it, it turns out that the Cerberus isn't actually active. So the group just goes and walks past it. I'm sure it's not going to come back later or anything. On top of all that, Frequency is starting to act a little bit suspicious.
What is it, Frequency?
It's not important.
As a quick side note, something that always manages to get a chuckle out of me with this show is the timing of the dramatic stings during dialogue. Here's a few of my favorites in the show thus far.
What is it, Frequency?
It's not important.
Old man in Toontown?
Oh no! Alderman!
Double the floors.
Alphanor?
Hello, John.
I'm not sure why, but it always manages to catch me off guard. Anyways, we cut back to little old man in the hospital. He's being visited by this new character, Baron. The two discuss the current goings-on with the Cogs and come to a very dismal conclusion.
When you're done recovering, can you come back to the summit? I've been studying the environment and its influence with the Cogs. The results aren't looking good as dark energy keeps rising. You know what happens when...
But isn't Toontown the central point of balance?
That is true. However, did you take into account that this is where the Cogs are?
Oh no. You're not saying...
Yes, I am. The Cogs are tampering with the elemental balance of the Tooniverse.
So, our group manages to find the kidnapped Toons. And I don't know what this guy did, but he's been given the Monsters, Inc. treatment. So, they devise a plan to disable the room's security by using Smirky's echo waves? Has he always had those? So Frequency runs off to go, quote-unquote, hack the mainframe, because what else does the tech-savvy character do? Also, I like how hacking just equates to touching this guy with a hard drive labeled virus. Meanwhile, the other three take out these guard dog Cogs below. And they actually manage to save all the Toons there. As they flee, they run back into the Cerberus room, and this duck with absolutely no self-control just screws them over by activating it. And this is actually where the episode ends. This duck better hope I never find him, or else it's on sight. Much of the next episode is dedicated to the fight between the Toons and the Cerberus, but things take a detour when Smirky's Blade of Poseidon is destroyed. Then, surprisingly, we actually cut to John for the first time in a while. He's still mourning over the loss of his brother and reminiscing on past memories. He and his brother were apparently phantoms demonized by the outside world, but he remembers the vow he and Alphanor made to go against the preconceived notion that they're evil and to save the Tooniverse. Thinking about this memory seems to put him at ease as he stares into the distance. And then this guy shows up. That'll probably be important later. We cut back to the group where Smirky is recovering from the hit he took before. Everyone else is doing a good job of holding the thing back, but they need his help. So Smirky turns into a dragon and impales the Cerberus with the destroyed sword.
I'm gonna make you pay for shattering my blade.
And it turns out that they can't actually defeat the Cerberus, so they all have to flee, where we get probably the bleakest thing I've ever read in Toontown. Just, hold on a second. There's no way we're talking about the same game here. Well, I stand corrected. So now we find out what the Cogs are doing with all those kidnapped Toons. It appears that they're extracting their essence.
We're going to extract your mana energy. You live the ordeal or not, but you be contributing your life to science.
Unfortunately for them, it doesn't seem to work out too well.
It's overloading! Shut it off! Shut it off! Why you? You're not like the other Toons.
That's because I hate tunes.
This is my dark version of a Toon. Just a glimpse into my dark reality. A full stare into my twisted perspective would make most simply go insane.
Turns out Flippy's not too happy with Smirky for going behind his back to save those Toons.
It's nice to see my efforts of rescuing counts nothing to you.
That's not the issue here, Smirky. You disrespected me. Don't you know the seriousness Toontown is in?
But... Forget it.
Honestly, I'm kind of with Flippy on this one. I mean, Smirky, you just caused the death of who knows how many Toons. Flippy informs Smirky that he may know someone who can help him repair his blade. And meanwhile, the inventor pitches the idea of hiring the cat that hates Toons onto their force. The Cog Boss doesn't really seem to like that idea, though.
We could use her, sir, in our force. Her mana is something interesting of Dark Toon.
You have 5 seconds to get out of my face before I scrap you! Not in the mood right now.
Also, turns out that Dr. Tori is still being tortured.
Keep babbling, and you will eat into the next full Luna. I'm not Alphanor. The name Shadow Gear.
Throughout this episode, there's also been an ominous whispering voice saying, "Release me," over and over again. Dr. Tori and the Cog Boss have been able to hear it themselves, but no one else has.
What was that?
Sir?
I'm going out.
Well, them and little Oldman, that is, who hurriedly tries to escape his hospital room before being engulfed by this dark cloud. However, the opening of the next episode confirms that little Oldman was actually able to fend off the dark cloud. The Cog Boss ends up calling someone he refers to as father to go investigate the mist. And hey, I recognize that eye and that hard-to-understand dialogue. That scary hallway eyes man. Turns out he'd been observing this sketchy-looking business transaction between this dog and this horse. And despite Cog Boss's earlier disagreement, the inventor interrogates that Toon-hating cat from earlier. She overloaded his machine with negative mana, something he didn't know a Toon could possess.
Are you done yet?
No, I'm not. We are going to sit here until you talk.
Yeah, I'm a talking cat. Can I go home now?
Oldman, in an act of desperation, uses this summoning gem to hitch a ride from this dragon, both of them hoping they're not too late. The Cogfather reveals to the Cog Boss that everything is going according to his plan.
This is your doing?
It wasn't intentional. I just wanted to be sure this plan had no flaws.
The Cogfather recounts that he poisoned Oldman during their earlier encounter, and that the factory project was just a ploy to kill John, knowing the Toons would step in to stop it. And now, Oldman is next. And upon reaching the source of that voice, he's swatted down by a giant hand, seemingly killing the dragon he rode in on.
Hello, little old man. How do you like my poison?
Oldman begins weakening before noticing the collar around the beast's neck. Knowing it to be the seal, in an instant, Oldman shatters into ice, confusing it before surprising it, using the seal to defeat it, if only temporarily. The Cogfather seemingly got what he wanted out of this.
Little Oldman has touched the crystal. Perfect. I had the knowledge I need, and I have one more prodigy to visit.
This marks the end of the first phase of the series. We then see Oldman on the ground, with an ominous figure looming above him. After all that plot recap, I do have a few thoughts about the series as a whole so far. I don't want to harp on this too much, but it's clear that this isn't really what one would expect from a Toontown series. Alphanor, the creator, clearly had some ideas he wanted to explore that weren't really in line with the original game. And while I can understand why one might feel like this isn't a good representation of Toontown, I still think it's an admirable project, and one with tons of clear passion poured into it. The desire to create a unique world with strong characters and an intriguing plot is all here, even just within this one episode. So while this may not be anywhere close to a one-to-one representation of Toontown Online, I feel it perfectly encapsulates the creativity and heartfelt within the game's community. And with that being said, let's move on to episode 16,